and good evening, friends of Dragon Warrior Randomizer, friends of the Winter League. I am Jeff, and I'm super happy to be joined once again here by Diabetes the Second for the Week 5 reveal slash information slash everything you want to know, really. This has been a very interesting week for players have been surprising everyone in different ways. The flags, the seeds have been very much all over the place. It was super fun, but now it's time to look back at what happened last week and what is going to happen for week, and maybe even a uh, little anticipation of what's coming for the later week. This is once again the 2026 Dragon Warrior Randomizer Winter League, the non-standard tournament, and this has been a blast so far. Hopefully, you guys in chat also think this has been fun. What are your thoughts on week 4, Diabetes?
I think that this past week has been very eventful. I think you kind of already said it. We had a lot of very close races. We had a lot of interestingness when it comes to chaos, as is often the case. Um, the random spell costs, I think, probably made the biggest impact and gave us some Dragon Lord fights with an astonishing number of extra heal mores, like 40 or 50 or more, and the potential for some super early low attack power Dragonlord fights, which I don't think we really saw. And I was really hoping for someone to go crazy with it and go for like hurt more strats on DL2, and I don't think we saw that either. It's like, oh, hurt more's only 1 MP. I'll try to get through it like level 10. It'll be fine. But regardless, it was still a wonderful week, and as you said, we have week 5, a positional week to look forward to as we head toward the playoffs.
Yes, week 5 is the last week of the regular season Winter League. As you mentioned, it's a positional round, so everyone's gonna take a look just a few moments at the current standings and see are their pace for week 5. Beg your pardon. And yes, after that, it's gonna be the top 16. Uh, Hopefully, not too many rematches for week 5, but there has bound to be a couple of them. Given that it's a positional round, we are not going to someone in another group because they already faced each other before. So yeah, let's take a look at the results.
Alrighty, here we have the week 4 results. Just a recap of what we experienced. We had 3 vodcasts today. I believe those were groups 3, 5, and 10. So I was part of one of those. I missed watching it. I'll have to go back and see some of the comments on some of the perhaps boneheaded plays that I made, but maybe I did a thing or two correctly. But yes, again, some really fantastic races. I will highlight, at least on my own behalf here, because I kind of watched this one in anticipation for today, but the Group 10 race that we saw earlier, very close race across the board. I think we said heading into week 4 here, all 3 of the 3-player groups were going to be very, very competitive. And this was definitely one of them. I think, what, about 3 minutes between all 3 runners? So fantastic race between Artorias, Ziggy, and Mantier.
Yeah, I have yet to watch that one. I wasn't available earlier today when it was restreamed by VeloV, but I will definitely watch it later. It was uh, it was definitely one of the races I was looking most forward to. I mentioned last week when we did this together, the Group 5 stood out as of players that had a similar-ish level of play, and it did not disappoint. Edge and EMP finished very close one to another, ending with the super low HP. Was very exciting to watch as well.
Yes, that was another one with the really variable number of heal mores, just the possibility of having an insane number of heal mores, and therefore, well, I can go at 90 something HP, maybe even 80 something. And I think you're right. We saw some 92 and 95 HP Dragonlord fights and successful as well. I think one other one just to highlight quickly, not to highlight a negative, but we have had our final undefeated player. Judge Joe did not win here in week 4. Silly Dabbit was finally able to do what 3 groups of runners had not been able to do previously in beating Judge Joe in one of these races. So we will have no players at 20 points undefeated going into week 5. So shout outs there to Silly Dabbit for breaking the streak.
And shout out to Judge George well for this incredible streak of winning and again his very first participation in the league with a very high amount of points. He's gonna probably end up, I'm guessing, in the group one in week 5. We'll have to see in just a moment.
Well, speaking of the standings based on these results, here we have the updated standings for you. No surprise, Judge Joe, even though he did not take the dub this week with his prior performance, will still hold a tie for the top spot at 18 points. On the left side, we have the top 16, and then the divider with the first 4 out there in positions 17 through 20. And on the right side, we have the remainder of the field. So again, anything standing out here to you to see what we're looking forward to toward week 5?
Week 5. I don't know. I'm looking at the top here. I'm looking at the top players, and these groups are gonna be incredible. Um, I'm not sure what to say. It's a bit scary, to be honest.
There will definitely be a lot of interesting races coming up this week. Just no, we'll get to the actual groupings. I know you literally can just count by 4 and determine all of them right now. But taking a look at what we have in the results so far, again, I'm sure that some of our expert statisticians will already have all of the theory crafting done and saying, okay, well, this is what everybody needs to do. This is the exact breakpoint for people who are in, people who are out, and everything. I think it's fairly safe to say at this point that anyone that will finish with 16 points or better next week will be headed to the playoffs. So currently, our top 6 or 7 runners, and then anyone that's kind of south of 9 is going to be very difficult to get in with a tiebreak at 14, or below 14. So I think that's kind of where things stand, but that still leaves a huge number of our runners in the middle there that have opportunities to make some strides here in week 5, try to secure a playoff spot, or if they already have one, to secure a higher seed moving forward.
Yes, the seeding will be, of course, determining of the of players' opponents in playoffs. As there are only 4 groups of 4 players in the upcoming playoffs, you want the best chance. You don't want to be racing against the top player if you can. So yeah, do try and get your standings as high as possible if you can.
All right, so as we look forward to week 5, why don't we talk a little bit about what we're going to see in week 5? What challenges will our runners face? It is Stair Shuffle made easy ish? How easy ish are we making this Stair Shuffle for us?
Well, for starters, there's Level Up Refill, a flag that was previously used. I believe it was in week 2, and I believe people kind of like that flag. It makes exploration easier in general, especially if you're diving a mega dungeon or you're diving Sherlock and you never know if you should go left or right or behind the throne room first. It's a long trek, and this flag makes it much easier. And there's Sherlock in, which will also kind of end up facilitating the Sherlock dive, even if you're not close to level up. If even if you have no idea what's the path to reach the Dragon Lord, you can just cast Heal More, Hurt More, pretty much as you want, and you know you will get a refill at the bottom floor.
And of course, with Stair Shuffle combined with those random chest locations, we do have access to level 1 Radiant, which will be very helpful And Radiant not just good for navigation, but also seeing across the walls to some of those alternative chest locations, hopefully making the stair shuffle not quite so evil when it comes to seeking out and searching for those stray key items, quest items, or whatever that we happen to be looking for. So that'll be at least some aid to our runners. So maybe they'll want to dive into some of the caves early. Although, again, with treasure guards on, no free lunch, as it were. But there is also incentive to heading into those caves as quickly as possible with small map plus big swamp as a combination. So the overworld is going to be relatively treacherous. And with random monster XP and gold also enabled, again, maybe the big scary enemies are not terribly worthwhile, but on the other hand, maybe some of the little guys are quite lucrative. So lots of decision making when it comes to how much to grind, where to grind, and when to head into those caves and locations.
Yes, and another flag that will help, that will further maybe um, help people favor the dungeons instead of the overworld is the hurt more doors, as is usually it is kind of a limitation of diving caves in their shuffle is that you might require a fairly high amount of keys. Uh, may it be the door in the first floor of the grave, or the with random chest locations, the number of doors in the bottom floor of Sharlock. If you have hurt more, then you have as many keys as you want, or at the very least, as many keys as you have MP, pretty much. So this will make it easier, maybe a little bit faster. Maybe you don't have to find Rimildar to get started in your diving, in your cave exploration. But again, Radiant will make that easier as well. This is it's going to be very difficult to find a perfect meta, if one could say, for this flag set, I would think.
Yep, certainly going to challenge our runners to just, as is almost always the case when it comes to these non-standard flag sets, figure out what that meta is, and sometimes there's just not enough information one way or the other. So potential advantage to playing later in the week versus earlier, but again, that advantage goes both ways because players who just don't have the experience early in the week, none of the runners are likely to have it, and later in the week, everyone will have that experience or at least a little bit more potential experience. So we'll have to see how that all plays out this week. I think we've covered everything, or did we miss any flags?
Well, there is Return to Town, which is both a blessing and a curse. If you die after reaching a faraway town, then you can just cast Return and get back there instantly. But if you don't want to go back there and you want to go back home, then you might as well just walk in the swamp and die, because Return to Town will bring you back to the last town you used an inn at, or Taintigel if you saved by talking to the king. So, notably, after defeating the Dragon Lord, you might see a couple walks of shame back to Taintigel if the players chose to stay at an inn before diving. It is worth mentioning, in case before anyone corrects me, the inn in Sharlock does not count towards the return to town flag, so you will not be able to return to the bottom floor of Sharlock, unfortunately.
I was really hoping that was going to be a secret strat. Darn. And just answering a question in chat, presumably wings also will function similarly to return and taking you back to that most recent save or in location.
You know what? I haven't played or programmed that flag in a long time. I think you are correct, but I would have to double check myself. Honestly, I'm not sure.
And also addressing the other question, which did come up in some regard when it came to the fairy flute. In that scenario, presumably that resetting would also reset the warp points that you have established, which would set things back to Tanthagel.
Yes, I will. I would definitely assume so. I don't. I probably tested it a long time ago, but I would certainly assume so, especially since usually you reset after saving. So if you didn't save, you're gonna lose progress, and if you did save, well, you're gonna restart in Tangible and return to Tangible anyway if you cast return.
Yes, and I mean, again, kind of following the logic, if you save, you're establishing your save point there anyway. And if you were to establish it elsewhere and then reset, you'd go backwards in time anyway. So it really kind of doesn't matter. Anyway, I think that about covers it for the week 5 flags. Is there anything else?
No, that's pretty much it. I think it's fair fair to move on.
All right, fair enough. Well, it all comes down to this. We have the groupings for week 5. If you already pay attention to the standings, you already have that information, but we will run through the groups here nonetheless. Starting off with Group 1, our number 1, 2, 3, and 4 seeds. Based on the first 4 weeks of regular season play, we have Judge Joe, Aaron, Quinn Patrick, and Zaytrex.
Well, that's a scary group. A lot of big numbers in the standings, and this is a very similar situation for Group Two with both you and I, and as well as Artorius 308 and Ziggy.
Yeah, this is just the tourney admin group, pretty much. I guess Ziggy, you're being drafted, so to look for that DM. I'm just kidding.
Or are we?
We could use the help. Next up, we have Group 3. We have Chris, Angel FM, Ryguy, and EMP. Again, another kind of powerhouse group of both standard and non-standard flags runners here. So this will be another group of fireworks to determine most likely positioning in the playoffs. Possibly a little bit of, if you don't finish well in this one, you could be on the outside looking in, but I think our runners here are going to be playing mostly for position.
Group 4 has Big Slamu, Beta, Chadbert, and NG Dave. This is crazy to me that this is Group 4 because if you had told me anytime in the past couple of weeks that ended up being the group number 1, I would certainly have believed it.
Really, it's been that way, I think, all throughout the tournament so far. And here in Group 5, we have Nightdew, Zillinor, Silly Dabbit, and Tybalt. So Silly Dabbit coming here after that Week 4 win, securing a spot in Group 5, and will be playing in for the playoffs. Again, we're starting to get into those groups where one or two people that finish first or second have an opportunity to play themselves in here, whereas the lower half of these groups probably is going to be on the outside looking in. So it's just that much more pressure here for Week 5.
Group 6 has Destiny of a Dragon Warrior, Synth, Edge, and IC10 Ace. All names you know very well are players that play very well. Regardless of their current standings, these players are all very good and are gonna certainly give us a good race. I will definitely watch that one.
Moving on next to Group 7. Here's where we start to get into a win and hope type of scenario. Need some specific things to happen. We have Jay Coper, Zarnax, Dweem, and Mand. Again, lots of Dragon Warrior Randomizer veterans. Probably one of the groups that has the most races and longest tenures among the community as well. So this will be another interesting group. If they get some things to play their way, the winner has a chance to potentially play themselves in here.
Group 8 has Kigaless, Cyberdock86, and Sandcraft. Even with a win, these players I'm not sure have a very good chance, unfortunately, of making the playoffs. But I am certain they're gonna play a good game, and I look forward to watching their race.
And now here into Group 9, we have Miplet, Sonny Wrath, and Yakko Wacko. Again, all of our runners have stuck it out throughout Winter League so far, so now is a great time to maybe secure that first win and really kind of, set themselves up and just, show that they still got it.
And finally, in Group 10, we have Sausage Link, Old Vampire Lady, and Oog 37. These players have been, I I suppose unlucky in their playing because they all are very good. I know Old Empire Lindy and Oog are used to some of these new flags that have been featured in the Winter League. So one of them will have a 5 point bonus by the end of the week, and hopefully all three of them will have enjoyed their time in.
Yeah, that's the big thing. We're here to have fun, so I think especially for the players that may have been eliminated already at this stage, have some fun this week. Enjoy the flags. Hopefully they don't turn out too nasty, and we will look forward to all of the races. Again, there's not a whole lot to say here when it comes to the groups. I think we've kind of theory crafted at least some of it. Our top three groups mostly are locked in here for making the playoffs. It's really more about positioning. For our last three groups, it's kind of just playing for pride at this point. And then just those middle four groups, 4, 5, 6, and 7, um, really have the opportunity to potentially play themselves in, play themselves out, or at least maybe get into a tiebreaker scenario. So I think there's going to be a lot of great racing here in this upcoming week.
Ooh, tiebreakers. I'm glad I probably don't have to play in one myself, but it's something that is possible. Rules are in the rules document. There is a whole paragraph talking about what happens if we need a tiebreaker, and maybe we we don't want to be the ones playing it, but we do want to watch it if it happens.
Yeah, so referring to that, if we have a tie that involves the 16th position and any additional players that tie for the 16th place, this is really the only scenario outside of a frame perfect tie among any of the group races thus far, which obviously we haven't had, is we will have a play in tiebreaker race to eliminate that number down to 16. So if we have 4 players tied at 15, 16, 17, 18, for example, 2 people will advance, 2 people will be eliminated. If it's 5 racers for 4 spots, 4 will be in, 1 will be out. Whatever it is, that's really the only scenario that we have here where a tiebreaker will be necessary, and that's just going to depend on how the numbers fall throughout the races this week. And then one other thing to quickly clarify, this hasn't happened before, so we did have to make a bit of a judgment call on this one. In 16th and 17th position going into this final week, we did have NG Dave and Night Dew tie on points, on Buckle's score, and on cumulative, which, as far as I can tell, has not happened, particularly where we had to make a call on that's an actual tie. Um, so we did make the call on this one to go by head to head, which of course did not help because they haven't played each other. And then by their positioning going into the previous week, in which case NG Dave took the tiebreaker in that scenario. And just in order for us not to have to try to schedule a tiebreaker just to get into this week, that was what we decided to do on this one. So I guess we're going to have to write this in for next year's rule set. So hopefully everyone is okay with that arrangement.
Well, this was a very interesting group reveal. I can't wait to schedule my races. And speaking of that, in just moments, the administration team will be changing everyone's roles in Discord so you can be reassigned to a new group and schedule races for the next week. Again, if you can schedule them sooner, the better because we can try and get some streams going on. And again, if you can volunteer for the restream, either by restreaming, commentating, or tracking, or just hanging out in chat, it's always appreciated as well. So please let us know. We do want one of the roles to help and notified when we need help restreaming. Uh, ask anyone in chat and in the Discord, and we will definitely hook you up with those.
Yep, we would love to have you. Whether it's on the viewing side, the volunteering side, we could certainly use a little bit of help going into this final week of the regular season and 10 more races this week before we head into the playoffs. So I think it's going to wrap it up for us for this evening. Thanks again, everybody, for hanging out with us. Hopefully you enjoyed week 4 of the racing and a long vodcast day. Thanks again to the volunteers, particularly Veluvi, who took a lot of the time to get those broadcasts for us today. But of course, not to forget about our wonderful trackers and commentators as well. Appreciate all of you. Um, Again, get those races scheduled once we get everybody sorted out here in a few minutes. And I think we are going to head over and wish a little bit of luck to another member of the DWR community who's going to be doing some casual DWR play, and that's everyone's favorite Ness Cardinality. So we're going to send things over there. Thanks again, everyone, for hanging out with us this evening. On behalf of the admin staff and my co-commentator, Joef, here in the booth, have a good rest of your Sunday. Have a good start to the month of March, and ready for some March Madness Week 5 racing and then Winter League playoff to follow. Have a good night, everyone, and we'll see you soon.